Well, again, everybody there, welcome back. Those of you who've been here before, and welcome for the first time, I guess, for those of you who are new. I'm Busho, and I'm going to offer a few little words here. A few little words usually means my intention is to talk for 15 minutes. I'll probably talk for 45. That's the way these things have a tendency to go. But I'll do my best. I'll do my best. Um, Non-boring Dharma talk is always my aspiration. I don't know that I've ever achieved it, but it remains my aspiration, right? I guess achieving our aspirations isn't really the goal of having an aspiration, is it? So, what I'm talking about today is a negative space. I'm calling this include the negative space. Because I was thinking about visual art in this particular case. Um, I was at a restaurant recently where they had an artist's work up on the walls that was available for sale. Every time I go to this restaurant, there's a different artist on the wall. I think they must change it every month or something. They get some local artist and say, "Hey, if you've got enough paintings, put them up on the wall here. That'll be really cool. You can have them for sale." And then it'll be like an art gallery for us, which is good, and a place for you to exhibit what you've got, which is good for you, right? A lovely little, a lovely little symbiosis there. And then, it's always fun to go to that restaurant for that reason. So I was looking at a drawing of a vase, and what I had come back to me was a memory of taking art classes forever ago. Geez, just forever ago. I won't even count the years, but it was a long time ago. Um, and I had a wonderful art teacher who was really good for me at that time. Her name was Sarah Church, and she was having us draw. I forget what it was. Probably one of those classic things like a vase of flowers or a bowl of fruit or one of those deals where you're just drawing a still life. But the instruction on that day was I want you to draw the space around the object. I want you to draw the negative space. That was the instruction that day. What she was trying to get us to see, and some of you would know this. Some of you have probably heard the similar instruction. It shows up in music, play this the space between the notes, the silence between the notes, that kind of a thing. The space around the object, the negative space, the part that doesn't necessarily jump. It isn't the thing that's in the foreground, it's the thing that's in the background, that kind of an idea. It was a really, really wonderful exercise and very confusing. I was like, I don't understand at all what you're talking about, you know. But that was her instruction. Don't draw the object, draw the space around it. Notice the negative space. So what she taught us is that if our drawing doesn't include the space around the bowl of fruit or the vase, the flowers, whatever it was, um, then it's incomplete. Like you've left something out. So the reason this connected me to a Dharma idea was um, I was listening to a talk forever ago, again, forever ago. Everything happened forever ago by Norman Fisher, a wonderful contemporary Zen teacher, still teaching. I hold him in very high regard. I think he's brilliant. If I remember right, he was talking about interconnectedness. And his example was, and I just thought, God, this is so brilliant. He said, close your eyes and imagine a tree. Just picture a tree. So even though I was, just listening to recording of the talk, I dutifully closed my eyes and I visualized the tree. He said, okay, so I have just told you, I'm paraphrasing because I forget how he said it, I'm sure a lot more smoothly, a lot more eloquently than I. Um, I have just told you to envision a tree, to call into your imagination the picture in your head, right, of a tree. I want you to notice, oh, it already includes the ground. I didn't tell you to envision the ground, but you did. You planted that tree. And I didn't tell you to include the sky or any space around that tree, but you did. You included the sky. Why? Because you've never seen a tree that wasn't rooted in the earth, and you've never seen a tree that wasn't connected to the sky. And he kind of went on to riff. You probably created in your head an entire landscape that predominantly featured a tree. In other words, the tree was in the foreground, it was the figure, but the ground, as they say in art, the figure, And then the ground, the backdrop, in other words, right? The background, you just filled that in yourself. Without being told, you immediately filled it in yourself. So he was using this as a metaphor for interconnectedness, which again I thought was brilliant because he went on to say, obviously, you can't picture a tree without ground, and you can't picture it without sky. And you know that sky involves clouds and water that nourish the tree. And then all of a sudden we have air and we have earth and we have, right, water and the whole deal, because you realize in order to envision a tree, I actually have to envision the entire universe because that planet that that tree is rooted in must come from someplace and it must orbit a all right, it must orbit a star in order to have light, and that star must in the gravity, and all of a sudden you realize, what? I just envisioned the entire universe. Yep. And so close your eyes, think of your grandma. You envision the universe with grandma in the foreground. Close your eyes and envision your first pet. You envision the universe with your first pet in the foreground. Close your eyes and envision your. Do you get it? You get it. What a brilliant exercise. So Sarah Church, our teacher, was doing exactly the same thing. You're looking across the room and there's your bowl of fruit or your vase of flowers or whatever that thing is. I'm just asking you to consciously include the rest. And when you're consciously aware of the negative space, the backdrop, the thing that's giving rise to that, creating an opportunity for that object to even exist, right? The tree, the fruit, the vase, grandma, right? Then your hand is going to move differently on the page if you're an artist. But really, all she was inviting us to do was to become aware of how the whole room is actually holding the fruit. It isn't just the bowl. It's the table and the ground and the walls and the wallpaper and the air, the whole thing, right? What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful exercise. I'm so grateful to her. I'm so grateful to her. And it connected really beautifully with Norm Fisher's invitation. So, where am I going with this? Include the negative space. Where am I going with this? What I see in this, and maybe you see it already too, it's pretty easy to get to. I just described our meditation practice. This is your meditation practice. You sit down and you set your timer and you choose your chair or your posture, your cushion, your zafu, your zabuton, whatever it is. What you light your candle, you offer your incense, or you don't. I don't know. Whatever it is you do, but you're going to do your meditation. And so you sit down and you take your posture and you're very intentional about it. And you hit start on your little timer and then off you go. Well, what happens? Well, the thing you call you, your body, your ego, your thoughts, your memory, all the stuff that you imagine as you, it shows up in the foreground. There it is, right in the foreground. There's your vase. There's your bowl of fruit. There's your tree, right? It's going to show up right there, and you're going to notice. You're going to notice how it feels to be touching the earth, the places in your body that are touching that stillness, and you'll notice. You'll pull into your conscious awareness in the front. You'll pull right up to the front, the sensations of breathing, right? And then you'll notice, oh, after a few minutes, oh, I'm not sure how this has happened, but my daydreaming about something coming up or my fear about something that already happened, which sounds funny, but happens a lot. We're scared of the past a lot. My planning, my worrying, whatever, has made its way to the front, and the breath has made its way to the back. It's way back here now. It's the negative space. And so the instruction is, oh, just notice that you've done that and then reverse them. Just gently pull the breath forward, right back up front again. There's your body. There's your breath. Can you feel it? And then you know what's going to happen, right? After a few minutes, they're going to switch. Even after a few seconds, sometimes they're going to switch. And then you catch it and you move them. You catch it and you move them. You catch it and you move them. That's meditation. This is very basic meditation, right? Mindfulness of breath just means pull the sensations, the experience you're having right now. You're having it anyway. It's always right there. It's never absent. It's always in the background. Let's just put it in the foreground for a few minutes. That's all we're going to do. Just put it in the foreground. And then we notice how hard that is to do. Holy cow, that's hard. That's actually very, very challenging to do. All right. Something else, usually thinking, shows up in the front, and then all of a sudden the breath is in the back again. So we just recognize it and we reverse them. Then we recognize it and then we reverse them. And then we recognize it and reverse them. That's all we're doing. Mindfulness of breath, or mindfulness of impulse, or mindfulness of body, or mindfulness of thoughts, or mindfulness of blah, 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 whatever it is, whatever it is. Choose the object. Mindfulness of beads, chanting, sound, whatever. That's really the mechanism, right? It's cool. It's very, very cool. So, where I'm going with this whole thing today, you already know how meditation works. You understand that. Like, yeah, I'm paying attention to the one thing, and then I forget and I pull the one thing forward again. That's it. Um, this movement, this calling to the foreground and then falling into the background. This is the positive space or the object, and then this is the negative space way back here, right? The thing that I normally don't draw, the thing I normally don't pay attention to. What I'm encouraging us to do today, just as an exercise, just for fun, is to notice how both are always happening. They're both always happening. And so the movement of what's in the front and when it moves back, and then when it's in the back and when it moves front is actually gentle and graceful and okay. You're just watching, you're just watching stuff. Want to show up and be at the center and then move on and then something and then right? That's your entire day, whether you're aware of it or not. That's your entire day. Now you're worried about this. Now you're feeling this. Now you're thirsty. Now you're hungry. Now you're irritated. Now there's somebody merging into your lane. Now they're not. It's just one thing after the other, after the other, after the other, right? The only difference is, as meditators, I'm aware it's happening. I'm watching it. So wanting to include the rest of the room along with the vase or the bowl of fruit, wanting to include that beautiful tree in our awareness and also include that beautiful tree rooted in an earth surrounded by an infinite sky and the possibility of rain and birds and squirrels. That's what we're playing with today. Notice that the two are always present and notice that it's just a movement. All we're doing today. What I'm encouraging is a both and thinking as opposed to an either or thinking. In other words, when I was given the instruction, sit down, make the shape of Buddha with your body, right? Sit, do the cross-legged thing and hold the mudra. And I was very, very zen. And here's the deal. And then we're going to start you off by just having you count your breath. Pay attention to your breath, and it's going to help you to count it. So it'll help you take care of your breath. So count your breath. When you get to 10, start over. 1 to 10, start over. 1 to 10. So that's there you go. Boom, do that. Great. Start the timer. Hot dog. Somebody rings the bell. Off we go. Oh, this is easy. This is simple. I'll be able to do this. Great. 30 seconds later, I'm long gone. First, right? Oh my God, I'm worried about something, or did I just move, or did that guy just cough, or whatever, right? And then the judgment comes, I have just failed at doing what I was going to do. In other words, I've created a binary. Either I am thinking, either I am aware of my breathing, or I am daydreaming, and I have failed at being aware of my breathing. Either I am succeeding or I'm failing. I'm either present or I'm absent. I am either, can you feel it? Boom, 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 boom. And so a 40-minute period of meditation, or however long the meditation is, for me was just a sequence of catching the failure, catching the failure, catching the failure, catching the failure, catching the failure. You can kind of imagine why people don't want to hang around with meditation for very long if all they're subconsciously doing, and all of this was unconscious. I wasn't aware that I was in a binary, and I certainly wasn't aware of the fact I was criticizing myself so brutally every time my mind wandered, right? But you can imagine why I didn't want to stick around for very long, because if you just sit down for 40 minutes and essentially I want you to criticize yourself about every 8 seconds for 40 minutes and see how you feel. Peaceful, right? Give me a break. It's a miracle ever. It's a miracle I didn't quit once and for all. Um, what we're doing today is, what if instead of you're either doing this or you're doing this, we're just envisioning it as this is in the front and now this is in the front. And you have some agency there. That's all. This is in the front, and now this is in the front, and you have some agency there. Because this thing is happening all day, every day. It's the story of your whole life. Something moves forward because it imagines it's the most important. That guy is moving into our lane. Like that demands my attention immediately and move forward because it needed to. And so the thing I was thinking about 8 seconds ago, poof, either disappears entirely or it moves way into the background because right now this is much, much, much more important, right? This is just how it goes, right? You're walking around the lake with your friend and you're talking about how she's hoping for a promotion at work and you're listening to her and boy, you can feel her anxiety and there she is and there's her voice and you're paying attention to her. She's right there, right at the front. And then whoosh, somebody whizzes by you on a bike, ding, 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 on your left. And oh, suddenly that is in the front. That makes sense. That's okay. Or you hear the loon call and go, wait, was that a loon? Did you hear the loon? Then that moved its way through. Right? So even without external stimulus, like people passing us on bikes and loons and people moving into our lanes, even if you're just sitting and meditating, this moves forward and then this moves forward and then this moves forward. But what I'm encouraging is maybe if we see this as a dance, there is something moving forward and there's the space all around it. And then something else moves forward and there's the space all around it. Then we're not quite so susceptible to get caught in the either or, which isn't happening anyway. And more importantly, the judgment that comes with an either or proposition. Either I'm meditating or I am not meditating. Either I am succeeding in doing it correctly or I am failing and doing it wrong. I think that's pretty typical for all of us to think, I'm going to practice mindfulness for 20 minutes. And when that timer goes off at the end, to go, God, I don't think I managed even 5 minutes. Do you feel the misunderstanding there? We can understand why we think that. We're not stupid. It makes sense. But can you see the misunderstanding? Right? There's a misunderstanding there that only when my mind is focused on the figure is it successful. And when the figure moves back to the ground and something else moves forward to be the figure, that I have failed. No. Are you aware of the movement? Are you holding all of it? Ah, that's a totally different metric, right? So here's some examples. I just want to try to see if I can make this just a little bit more concrete. My guess is you get it. This is just being aware that the bowl of fruit includes the whole room, the vase, the tree includes the whole earth. No problem. We're just watching things all take turns, essentially, being the most important thing that's right up at the center. But the meditator knows that there's agency there. I can make a choice. I'm going to concentrate on the tree and I can do something there. I can actually make the muscle of my awareness stronger by returning, by returning, by returning, pulling it forward, pulling it forward, pulling it forward, right? There is something, but let's give it a couple examples anyway, right? Um, First thing to notice is in your meditation that the space of your awareness, the size of the field, for lack of a better word, I don't know what's a better word, sphere maybe. The size of your, oh, it doesn't have a quality, so all of the words aren't going to work. But for this conversation, let's say the size, the breadth of your awareness. Become aware of how large it actually is. Just notice how large it actually is. Just to notice that. That's what Sarah had us do. We become so focused on the one thing, we become so focused on the vase that we forget about the bowl and the table and the air and the window in the background and the wallpaper and whatever, right? So all I'm asking you to do, all I'm inviting you to do today is the very same thing. Next time you sit, just be aware. I'm focusing today on my beads or on my prayer or on my breath or on my body or on whatever it is I'm focusing on, whatever your focus is, doesn't really matter. Just remind yourself to be consciously aware that thing is, I am choosing, I am making a choice to pull it forward, which is proper, but it's actually not separate from a huge field of awareness, right? The negative space is already there. This hit me like a ton of bricks at some point when some meditation teacher, I had already been sitting for a long, long time, and somebody said, well, I mean, you're breathing already. You're already an expert. It's already happening. It's just a question of whether or not you're noticing it. And all of a sudden it went, it isn't that like meditation is special posture or special breathing or special anything. It's just already The thing is already happening. It's just the conscious awareness of it. Be aware of the negative space. It was already there. So as you are sitting down, the negative space is already there. You're already hearing the birds outside. You're feeling the pull of gravity on your bones, right? You are aware of the third toe on your right foot. Of course you are. It's there. It has nerves. You're awake. It's registering. You just became aware of it. Oh, so you're including and including and including and including. So your practice doesn't have to stop having a focus, right? The idea isn't to let go of the breath, the body, the mantra, the bead, the candle flame, whatever your tree is, whatever your vase is, right? But to make sure that you're also aware, what's also included is a huge amount of space around it. This is a meditation technique thing I'm talking about, but it has a larger implication that I'm about to get to, right? I'll give you an example. That before I make that switch, I'll give you one more example because this is a non-meditation example that I think is important because you already do it. And I think it's helpful for us to see it in a meditation setting and then outside of a meditation setting. So we stop thinking that those things are super different because they're not. The next time you stub your toe, right? Or cut your hand when you're making a soup or whatever, right? When you have that moment of, "Ah, I just hit my poor foot against the edge of the coffee table. In that moment, for everybody. No ground, no negative space, no backdrop. There's just that pain, right? It eclipses everything. It's our whole world, right? Wow. It moves so far to the foreground that there isn't a background, right? We forget everything else, of course, because, ugh, all right? So all of us have this experience, and we're a little bit like a 2-year-old in that moment who is having a meltdown. If you've ever been with a 2-year-old having a meltdown, the entire universe is a meltdown. There is only the meltdown, right? Because they're two. Those poor little ones haven't been around long enough to go, this is actually just an emotional experience. And 10 minutes from now, I'm going to probably have forgotten this even happened. And certainly by tomorrow, this will be long, long, long gone, right? By the time you're an adult, like we are, you're aware, yeah, this is part of a long string of ever changing experience. It becomes a little bit easier as we get older. Hopefully, hopefully, a sign of maturity. A little bit easier as we get older to go, oh, yeah, bad days happen with frequency. Difficult moments happen with frequency. It's part of something larger, right? So we have this kind of thing happen to us all the time, whether we're 2-year-olds having a meltdown or whether we're adults having a stubbed toe or a cut finger. Um, we're just using examples here to see, oh, I can see how certain types of experience are so galvanizing, right, of our attentiveness that they drop the rest of the world. They're supposed to. One of the reasons, and that's not what this talk is about, but one of the reasons we have the practice of samadhi, Samadhi, Sanskrit samadhi, in some meditation traditions is to go so far into the focus on one thing that there stops being an object, there stops being a subject, and there starts being everything. It sounds paradoxical, and that also sounds kind of trippy, and that's not where we're going today. But there is a way in which the idea of holding the giant field and going all the way into the one are actually the same practice. Again, that's not what this talk is about. So I'm not going any further there, or else we'll get confused. So as you are holding that right foot that just got stubbed, right? As your practice deepens, as your awareness increases, as your maturity develops, you become aware, oh, I'm holding and I'm caring for that part of me that is hurt. And not but, and I'm also aware the other foot is just doing fine. And the hands that are holding the hurt foot are also doing just fine. That part of me isn't in pain. Just this one part is in pain. Can you feel that we've included just a little bit of the background there, a little bit of the backdrop? We've drawn a little bit of the negative space around the one, you know? We're becoming large enough as containers for awareness, right? To include the figure and the ground. I'm aware of the tree and the earth it's planted in. I'm aware of the vase and the negative space, right? It's true of physical pain, but it's true of other things as well. It's certainly true of our emotional experience. And it's certainly true of our observation of our cognition, right? Of thinking consciousness. My teacher used to use this example a lot, and I thought it was so skillful at the time when I first heard it. So if you know Tim Burkett, you've probably heard him say this. But he used the metaphor of a freight train sometimes for thinking, right? When we're new to meditation, it's like, oh my God, all I'm noticing is thinking. I can't stop thinking. I keep trying to stop it and it won't stop. And it goes faster and faster and faster. He's like, yeah, 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 that sounds right. It's like a freight train, right? And he read someplace that a freight train, when it's going across country, even if it's between nowhere and nowhere, like the middle of South Dakota and the middle of freaking nowhere, it's still limited to 99 miles an hour. That's the fastest legally that a freight train can go in the United States. I don't know if that's true. I'm just repeating what he said. It's a cool thing. 99 just sounds like, oh, that's a great, even if it's not true, it's cool. Um, what he had us envision was, if you were standing at that, if you're standing at that railroad tracks and being like, I've got to wait for this train to go by, you know how when you're standing next to a railroad track and you're watching it go by, it is so intense. It's so loud. The whole earth shakes, and all you see is metal, just the size and the weight of the intensity of those cars going by. Boom, 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 boom. You know, it just seems like there's nothing but cars. So he said, even if that thing is going 99 miles an hour, and even though it seems like there's nothing but cars, the truth is, and when a train is going quite slowly, you can see this. And when it stopped, you can walk right up into, there's a huge space in between each one of those cars. It's like 5 feet. That's a lot of air. There's a huge amount of air between those cars. Even when they're going 99 miles an hour, that 5 feet is the same. There's space. There's space between the cars. The speed of the train doesn't change that distance, right? And so he encouraged us as a meditation instruction, instead of trying to stop your thinking, don't. Instead of even trying to slow your thinking, don't. But just notice the space between them. The space is already there. That negative space is already there. There's space between each of those. There was a whole room surrounding that vase. There was earth and sky around that tree. He was just asking us to do exactly the same thing Norm Fisher did, which is exactly the same thing Sarah had us do as the art teacher, say, just notice the negative space. There's already plenty of space, lots of space actually, between those thoughts. Plenty of air, plenty of freedom. That's a wonderful exercise. I encourage you to try it if you haven't. Notice the space between your thoughts. That's it. I promise if you look for the space, you will see it. It's right there, right? Plenty of space. And as you'd probably expect, the more you notice that space, oh, there it is, the more you're kind of inhabiting it with your awareness, right? Right? You're increasing the scope of what you're noticing, which means you're not grabbing on to the thinking and ignoring the space. You're not grabbing onto the vase and ignoring the room. You're allowing yourself to inhabit the space. You can kind of guess where this is going. It makes sense that even without trying to, the train slows down, right? Because I'm putting more intentional awareness in the space, the thoughts kind of come a little more slowly. That's not the goal. We're not trying to trick ourselves into not thinking. Thinking is not a problem any more than freight trains are a problem. You need those cars. That's the point of the train. That's right. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. No problem. But it is about just increasing the scope of our awareness so that we don't have the either or, good, bad, friend, foe, success, failure. It's just noticing when that thing has pulled itself forward and wanting to recognize that there's also something else happening. There's a negative space around the positive, right? So finally, let's use emotions. This is the hardest for all of us. Notice the next time you're sad, next time you're angry, next time you're confused, next time you're ashamed, whatever feeling, right? I'm listing afflictive feelings, although you could do this with non-afflictive feelings too. Just the feelings we have a hard time with that are more challenging for us. Afflictive feelings are a little more, they grab our attention like the like the stub toe, right? They just have a way of moving themselves forward into the foreground, right? Next time you have an afflictive feeling, let's say a sadness or an anger, that's cool. Notice it. Notice that it's there. And just like with the stub toe, just like with the freight cars, see if you can notice the space around it as well. Again, this is a both and, both the positive and the negative, or both the foreground and the background, right? Both the object and the emptiness, or the form and the emptiness, right? Both. See if you can notice. See if you can include more. That's all we're doing here with this whole thing. It's just, I wonder if I can include a little more, not get rid of, not exclude, not cut off. Nope. Just include more. I wonder if there's part of me that's sad right now. I notice sadness showing up. I can feel that there's sadness that's present. There it is. It's just like a train car. It's just like a bowl of fruit. It's just like a tree. It's right there. I can feel it in my body. There it is. It's an object of my awareness, right? Yes, correct. Like any sensation or any experience, it's an object of my awareness. It's not me. I'm the one looking at it. I'm not the bowl of fruit. I'm not the tree. I'm not the rail car. I'm also not the sadness, right? But there it is. It's an object in my awareness. And now that the light is on, now that I'm aware, oh, there you are, I can also choose to include the lovely space around it. There isn't just the right foot experiencing pain because I stubbed my foot. The left foot is also present and it's fine. Do you see the part of me that's sad? Correct. There's also a part of me that's not sad. How do I know that? Because this sadness is finite. I can see it. It's almost like a visual. It's almost like you can see all the space around it, just like the bowl of fruit or the tree. It's finite. The field of awareness is bigger than the thing. When you envision the tree, you put it in your field of awareness. When you notice the empty spaces between the cars going by at 99, you're like, oh, yeah, they were always there. The field of awareness is plenty big. I'm just, oh, consciously including it. There we go. So you're reminding yourself, I am not my sadness. I am so much bigger than my sadness. My sadness is just showing up. It isn't really even mine, frankly. It's just showing up like the sound of the bird or like the rail car or like the sight of the bowl of fruit, whatever that thing is, or like the stub toe experience. It's just one thing included. And so our invitation is, what if I can include something around that? And hopefully what you're feeling, my tone of voice changes, right? When I'm talking about this, hopefully what you're feeling is the nature of that space, the nature of your awareness. The field of your awareness is fundamentally luminous. It's completely luminous and it's totally still. Completely luminous and totally still. It just reflects. It's amazing. It isn't even an it. You can't get outside of it, right? But you can imagine what happens to my sad when it knows it's surrounded by and penetrated by and in relationship with and always being held literally all the time by a field of awareness that's fundamentally luminous. We give it human qualities because we need to use words to describe it. We describe it as compassionate. We describe it as kind. We describe it as wise. We describe it as loving, Buddha, whatever qualities we imagine, right? It's actually bigger than all those things. Those are just words. But can you feel what happens when that toddler, that 2-year-old is having that meltdown and they're the only thing in the universe and the only feeling in the universe is the heartbreak and the horrible raging injustice of not being able to get the toy that they want. And when grandma just puts her arms around and goes, I know, sweetheart. Well, I know. It's hard not to get what we want, isn't it? Yeah, I can feel that with you. Can you feel what happens? Not because she's trying to get the kid to shut up, because she's ashamed or angry or pissed or trying to manipulate, but just because I'm the field of awareness. I'm present to this. It isn't just that one thing. There's so much more happening. So you're including everything else along with the sad. That's all you're doing. I'm just including the size of what I can hold. And if I'm making it sound like there's an all or nothing here, then you can scale it back to just include one other thing. Mostly, I think that I am sad. You are not sad. You're the one watching sad. But I know how it is when we're caught. We feel like we are sad. Maybe all it takes is one more little baby step. What else is happening? Maybe I can list one other thing. I'm really, really sad, and I'm also hungry. I'm really, really sad, and my mouth is dry. I'm really, really sad, and I guess there is part of me that does appreciate the fact that my favorite TV show is on tonight, and so I've got something to look forward to. So I'm 99% sad, but I've still got 1% that's a little bit excited about the thing that's happening. Can you feel it? We're just kind of encouraging ourselves to breathe and expand just a little bit. There's just a softening around, right? That's what we're doing in negative space. One of the things when I was working with this, the stub toe example was given to me, I think by my teacher. And my foot hurts. It's the only thing happening in the world, and this is my foot. Oh, ouch. I was encouraged. So stop the movie right there and notice that even though you think the only thing happening in the world right now is that you stub your toe, the only thing that's happening in the whole world is the pain in that toe. Do you notice how do you notice how you're comforting it? Do you notice how your hands reached without any hesitation down to grab onto that toe and hold it, to begin to comfort it? Do you realize without any awareness, without any forethought, without any conscious effort, you immediately, with your body, took the action of moving toward and holding in order to provide comfort. So even though you think the only thing happening and the whole world is that pain, you've forgotten to include the compassionate response to that pain, and all by itself. How beautiful that impulse is. You see how important that teaching might have been for me? I thought I was just a pain, but I was also responding to the pain. My hands reached out the way yours do. As soon as you skin your knee, or you stub your toe, or you cut your finger, the other hand, the other limbs immediately reach out and go, ah. They start to move toward, they touch, they hold, they comfort immediately. That's your nature. There's no ego there. That's just what the animal of the body, the wisdom of the flesh does. That's consciousness. That's part of the field. It just immediately places the tree in a setting that will be conducive to the tree growing. It gives it earth and sky, even in its imagination. It immediately gives the bowl of fruit or the vase a table to rest upon and a room in which to exist. It just automatically does it. That's not part of your conditioning. That's not part of your race or your gender or your identity or your skin color or whatever, blah, 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 blah. None of that is conditioned. This is just automatic. It's baked in. What a beautiful moment that was. All that's happening is the pain. Well, yeah, and your compassionate reaction to the pain before you started doing the complaining thing of, oh, it's me. No one's ever stubbed their toe as often as I have. No one's ever been as clumsy, whatever. We turn it into blah, 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 blah. Before the ego does kick in, there's something else. Hardwire, our true nature, to rush toward that suffering. And it's conditioning beyond the separate self. That's the backdrop. The unconditioned is the backdrop for the conditioned, of course. Hmm. So I was embodying Buddha by holding on to my fear, just like you have. You've embodied Buddha your whole life. Every time you've reached out, every time you've offered comfort, before you even knew it, before you're even aware of. Well, we forget, right? That's the negative space. We forget how primary that impulse is. Something else, right? Before who we are. So we're getting close here on time, but I want to quote Anthony DeMello. If you don't know Anthony DeMello, it's spelled the way you'd expect. It would be Demello is the last name. His stuff is great. I really like him. He says this. He's a radical and a troublemaker, and I have a tendency to like radical troublemakers who have strong teaching voices. Tear away the tentacles of society that have enveloped and suffocated your being. You must drop them. Externally, everything will go on as before. But though you will continue to be in the world, you will no longer be of it. In your heart, you will now be free at last, if utterly alone. Your dependence on your drug will die. You don't have to go to the desert. You're right in the middle of people. You're enjoying them immensely. But they no longer have the power to make you happy or miserable. That's what aloneness means. In this solitude, your dependence dies. The capacity to love is born. One no longer sees others as means of satisfying one's addiction. Only someone who has attempted this knows the terrors of the process. It's like inviting yourself to die. It's like asking the poor drug addict to give up the only happiness he has ever known. Strong words, right? Isn't it great? Jeez, it's great. That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, at first, that might not be relevant to what we're talking about today, but I chose it for a reason. When we begin to include the backdrop, when we start to draw the negative space, right? Include the negative space, the space between the train cars, the space around the vase, the immediate action that reaches for the hand, the earth and the sky that hold and support the tree. Can you feel what we're actually doing there? The actual movement is we are beginning to disidentify with the object. We're disidentifying with the contents of consciousness. And here's where we're going. This is the punch. We're, be- we're beginning to disidentify with the self. We're beginning to disidentify with the ego. Pay attention to my words. Disidentify. Doesn't mean get rid of, shame, kill, whatever. It just means that's not my identity, right? That 2-year-old that you're watching today who has the meltdown, they're having a meltdown. That's a pretty damn vivid experience. And if you're with a 2-year-old who's having a meltdown, it has a tendency to eclipse the rest of your life. They're having a pretty vivid experience, right? But even in that moment where you're babysitting that little rascal, you're not confused about who is who. You don't think that's me. And you're a good babysitter. And so what you don't do is leave them, put on headphones so you can't hear them, punish them, hit them, scold them. You also don't throw yourself down on the floor with them and scream just as loudly. You're a good babysitter. So you don't do either of those things. Try to avoid or join entirely the drama. You don't do those things because you're a good babysitter. You move toward them and go, hey, it sounds like you're really having a hard time. Come on over here. Come on over here. Come on. Sit on my lap. Tell me about what's going on. You are going to help them regulate by putting your arm around them or by listening or by giving them attention. You're going to help them regulate. You're going to encourage them to set a boundary. It's okay now. We're done. That's enough. We're done. Right. But you're going to do this relationally. You're going to do it kindly. You're going to do it by including all of them. It's not a problem. They are not a problem. They have not just gone from being good to being bad. They have not just gone from being lovable to being unlovable. They have not just gone from being Buddha to being Mara. That's not what's happening. You're just helping them, right, to begin to bear witness to themselves. They're going to start to regulate themselves when they're telling you about why they're so upset. Right? Now, I know what I just described is the opposite of how you were raised. I know it's the opposite of how I was raised. We mostly were raised with some version of either, I'm out of here, I have nothing to do with you, you are not mine, I'm going to punish you, hurt you, leave, ignore you, shame you, whatever. Go to your room and come out when you can be civil. Or you were raised like I was, like everybody was, with some version of, they're in even more of a dysregulated state than the poor little kid, right? I know I'm introducing us to the possibility today that there's another way of being, but that's the point of meditation. Because when you set your timer and sit down, your ego shows up. That's what happens. A person shows up, a person you think is you. The whole point of meditation is to begin to discover that actually isn't me. At least it isn't all of me. There's a body there that I could observe. There's emotions there that I can watch. There's thoughts and storylines. There's a whole karmic body there that I can bear witness to. But I'm the one who watches. I'm the one who witnesses. I'm the one who holds. I'm the one who shows up to see. I am not that which is seen. I'm not the vase. You're not the 2-year-old. You're not the toe that got stubbed. Of course you're not. Can you feel it? Oh, that's what you're there to do, is just remind yourself of the size of the space. I am the negative space. It includes something. It includes that object. It isn't an either or. But wow, just realize you have an ego. Realize that ego thinks that's who you are. It thinks it's you. I know. We call it a small self in Zen, small self. We don't have to say that with judgment. It's like a 2-year-old. We're more likely like a 5-year-old. Egos are more like a 5-year-old, probably, right? When you sit down and set your timer, a 5-year-old will join you, no matter how old the body is that you're in. That's going to be a 5-year-old. Just a scared kid trying to figure out how to fit in, hoping that they matter, wanting to figure out what the rules are, wanting everybody else to follow the rules, scared and cranky and anxious, wanting just kind of. But they're also curious and they also want to taste everything and try everything and hear everything. Wow, you've got someone to watch over. You feel that that ego is a function of you, but it's not you. It's very much like babysitting. You're there as an artist to draw that vase. You're the one who's drawing it. You're the one who's including all of the space. A good artist is going to fall in love with that vase. They're going to fall in love with the flowers in that vase. They're going to fall in love with the light playing on the texture of the vase's surface. They're going to fall in love with the shadow that's cast across the tabletop. They're going to fall in love with the wallpaper behind it. They're going to fall in love with the trees that gave their life for the table that the vase is sitting on. They're certainly going to fall in love with the light that's streaming in through the window. That's what artists do. They fall in love with all of that and they record that somehow. They express it on a canvas, and then we all get to watch our world come alive. Somebody helped us to see the miracle that was already happening. We're supposed to fall in love with that kid who's having that temper tantrum. They're just really, really scared right now. We're supposed to fall in love with that freight train. It's making a racket. It's going 99 miles an hour. We're supposed to be the one that remembers, oh, you're just a train. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to. You're going really, really fast. And I know there's plenty of space in between each of those cars. This is okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm here to take care of you. That is really what meditation is. Stop asking the ego to go away. Don't ignore it. Don't shame it. Don't ask it to leave. Don't try to make it stop. Just paint the negative space. Be aware that that ego that shows up, that fear that shows up, that anxiety that shows up, that busy mind that shows up is part of an infinite tapestry. Just include the rest of the tapestry. It's okay. Then everything is contextualized. The tree makes sense where it is. The freight train makes sense where it is. The little kid's meltdown makes sense where it is. It's okay. It's just a scared kid. I'm just babysitting. That's all right. I've got somebody to keep an eye on. I've got a little ego. I've got a little ego called Busho. Oh, right. And he's going to show up when I'm doing Zazen. He's going to show up. I got to keep an eye on him because I care. I really care. That's what I'm here to do. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Surely the human experience is something I'm here to care for. Surely if I'm Buddha, I'm here to be a steward of enlightenment on a planet of suffering, on a planet of samsara. 8 billion people having temper tantrums. 8 billion racing freight trains. 8 billion vases so scared of how breakable they are. Isn't that our job? I'm here to empathize with that. I'm here to feel it with it. We call that compassion. I'm here to set boundaries with it. I don't have to act from that place. I don't have to let the 5-year-old drive the car. Of course not. But I can watch, and eventually I can take delight in. You can take delight in the human experience. It's beautiful, right? Love it. Fall in love with your little ego identity. Of course, it's not you. Of course, it's going, going, gone. 100 years from now, it won't exist. And you already know that. So for this brief time you have to watch over it, be a good shepherd. Powerful, right? Include the negative space. Remind it how much space is in the pasture for it to play in. Keep good watch over it with lots of love, lots of tenderness. Wow, now something can happen. Now that thing can grow. Wow, how beautiful that is. That's what we're here to do. And then the timer rings and meditation's over and we do our bow and we stand up and we move on. That's okay. That's what we do. I hope this is helpful. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for reminding me all those years ago when I was still in my teens to include the negative space. Thank you, Tim, for reminding me about the negative space around the cars. Thank you, Norman Fisher, um, for reminding me that I include the whole universe, the whole earth, the whole sky every time I envision a tree. Thank you for reminding me of the negative space. Thank you. That's really helped me be present to my cut finger and my stub toe and my concerning emotions and my anxiety. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's beautiful to be reminded of how much kindness arises automatically and why that part of us gets so scared. Like Anthony DeMello reminded us, it gets really scared when it thinks it's not in charge. Yeah, it can feel scary. It can feel lonely. That's true. It can. And that's also what we're asked to do. I can be the one who takes care of that fear. I can be the one who takes care of it. That giving up the addiction to the self, it's okay. I can be the one who takes care of that fear. So I hope that this helps you. Thank you, as always, for your attention. I so appreciate you being here and watching these videos. If there's something that you'd like to hear me talk about or a way in which I can support your practice or something, feel free to drop me a line. Email is easy to find on the website, and um, I get a lot of my ideas by people sending me suggestions and requests and that kind of stuff. So I appreciate that. I appreciate it. It feels like support to me. So thank you. All right. Until next time. Bye bye, everyone.